The time is now 7 o'clock.
With fewer than 50 days left until the snap presidential election, prospective candidates and parties are quickly presenting their platforms. And one of the issues at the forefront is this 4-day or maybe a 4.5-day work week floated by both major parties. In theory, doesn't it sound wonderful? I'm excited just thinking about it. However, is it going to come to fruition? And technically, if it were to be implemented, today would be the last work week of the week. So what are the differences between the two parties and how realistic are their proposals is the big question. Time is ticking quickly, racing towards June 3rd, but it's all the more reason to stay informed between now and then. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Thursday, April 17th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. And yes, especially for those of you tuning in to our live streaming on YouTube, I want to give a shout out to all your early birds racing to become number one. And how about a shout out to Shiny Grace Kim. Thank you for joining us this early Thursday morning. All right, our top story once again is the upcoming presidential election. And the whole issue is the shortened work week. Whether it be 4 days or 4.5 days. This was the first official platform by the ruling People Power Party, PPP, and the opposition Democratic Party, DP, has also selected as a major livelihood issue. But this is pretty much where the similarities end. The PPP is seeking to implement a flexible work system where you would work an extra hour from Monday through Thursday and work a half day on Friday. So the number of hours per week would stay the same. On the contrary, the DP's proposal is to shorten the working hours themselves from the current 40 hours to 36 hours, then again to 32 hours, ultimately reaching 4 days a week. So that's where they're different. But both the government and experts express concerns over both of these proposals, with the gist being it will only benefit certain groups. And this is the same issue we see with labor policies. It's often the larger corporations and public institutions that can realistically apply these changes, with small and medium-sized enterprises, the SMEs, not able to follow suit because it's just not practical. So, in a broader scope, some experts have pointed out that working hours are not the only problem with South Korea's labor market. There's this recent report from the Korea Labor Institute, which argues that the long hours in Korea are due to a lack of part-time workers, the inability to use flexible working hours, and a lack of breaks in corporate culture. So globally, there aren't that many countries that have been weekly, that have these weekly working hours stipulated in the law. But many of them still manage to work fewer hours in South Korea while maintaining robust, productive economies. So, the working hour, however long they may be, the working hours, this issue isn't one that can be solved, with a neat number with a little bow on top, right? And those going to work right now would like to see more thorough proposals, right? It's not just about a set number. How is this going to affect me if I work at a smaller company? Can I benefit? I think those are the questions we want answered. And now we're going to get to our text topic. We're going to talk about feedback and criticism. So are you good at giving and or receiving feedback or criticism to others? Ooh. So are you good at receiving criticism? Or are you good at giving criticism? Do you do it in a kind of a direct or indirect way? And what's the most memorable feedback that you have ever received from someone? And I'm not just talking about 오늘 뭐 색깔이 잘 어울려요, but like something that pertains to your performance of whatever you're doing. 자, 여러분이 비판이나 피드백 잘 주고 받으시는지, 그리고 나는 피드백을 직설적으로 혹은 돌려서 말한다. 오, so I want to hear your responses. 그리고 여러분이 받은 가장 기억에 남는 피드백은 So think about this. So in terms of so the whole 돌려서 말하다. So it means roundabout way. That's a way you can say it in English, or just like indirect, roundabout, 돌려서. All right, send in your responses to BFM's live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel. Yes, you can join our, what is it, 128,000 subscribers, and then you can 깨알 홍보해야죠. And then log in and chat with our other waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050, that's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free through our Kakao Talk account as well. To find the account, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송, add us as a friend, and you can send in your messages and your photos too. And the ways you can listen to our program, we have so many different ways. On the radio, if you're in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM, like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube, and you can watch again at your leisure. We have two apps, so the BEFM app itself and the Papang app, which you can listen to the Wa글와글 segment. So what's the lineup for today? We have Beyond the Headlines. That's with Chris, and then Stephanie for City Insights. And our special interview. We're going to be focusing on an amazing person. This person's journey from Alaska, the U.S., to Korea, to become a master of the Gayageum. So let's find out what her journey has been like, why she came to Korea, and how she became a master of this amazing instrument. So that's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with today's headlines. It's now 7:07. These are today's headlines. Constitutional Court accepts injunction against acting president's justice nominations. The Constitutional Court yesterday unanimously accepted an injunction suspending acting President Han Duck-soo's recent nominations of 2 Constitutional Court justices. Missing worker from Gwangmyeon Road collapse found dead. A worker was found dead 6 days after having been missing in the collapse of a subway construction site in Gwangmyeon, Gyeonggi. His body was recovered 124 hours after the accident. Government to revert med school quota to pre-increase level. The government has decided to return the nation's medical school enrollment quota for 2026 to the pre-increase level of 3,058 2 years ago and will officially announce the decision today. Government urges domestic airlines to fully enforce emergency exit safety measures. The government urged domestic airlines to strictly enforce emergency exit door safety measures after a passenger on an Air Seoul flight opened the emergency exit. Fed Chair warns of tariffs' impact on economy. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said President Donald Trump's significant policy changes, including on tariffs, are unlike anything seen in modern history, putting the Fed in uncharted waters. And these are today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Sue in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm happy because we are getting closer to Friday.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's been a long work week, just at school and stuff. So, hey, I want to ask you about criticism or feedback. Are you, number one, good at receiving it? Number two, are you good at giving it? And how do you go about doing so?
So I'm like polar opposite when it comes to receiving feedback. I'm really good at it, especially if it's related to work.
Yes.
So
You're okay with it?
Yeah, 조피디님 can say anything to me and I will take it well.
Oh, 정말 진짠가요? 확인 이제 들어갑니다. Yes, what else? But what about giving? You're saying you're not so good at it?
I'm one of those like bottling up type. I'm not good at saying it. Yeah. So how to get it out? I just look at the mirror and then I talk to myself, like as if I'm the opposite party. Yeah.
Ah, really?
Yeah. I don't think it's healthy though.
Oh, so you're kind of uncomfortable with giving like criticism? Even to students?
Students, no.
No,
I'm
no
good.
problem.
I'm good. Yeah.
You're like, is it direct?
Yes.
직설적으로?
Very direct.
이거 너무 많이 틀렸다.
Yeah.
Like this is, I see. Interesting. So how do you do it though? Like, I mean, because for students, some students, they take it well and others,
Right.
they cave under the pressure or they start crying.
So I make jokes.
To soften it,
Yeah.
butter them up a little.
If I feel closer to them,
Yes.
then I can say whatever I can, but in certain degree.
Yes. Jokes. I get it now. All right, we're going to jump into our first update. The Trump administration, this is, apparently they're considering closing 27 U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide. So it's not set in stone yet, right?
This also includes the U.S. consulate in Busan. And this plan is said to be influenced by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE. And it's part of an effort to significantly reduce the State Department's budget by nearly half for the upcoming fiscal year.
Yes.
And among Asian countries, Busan is the only location on the list. And according to a CNN report based on internal State Department documents, they are reviewing 10 embassies and 17 consulates to shut down. And these diplomatic offices are in countries like Malta, Luxembourg, South Sudan, the Republic of Congo, and France, and more.
Okay.
And the reason for the cut is based on factors like workload, staffing costs, and security ratings.
So once again, Busan is on that list, but it's not set in stone. What's going to happen if the U.S. consulate in Busan closes down?
So most likely, all the responsibilities will be transferred to the U.S. Embassy and Consulate in Seoul. And Busan is currently the only city in Korea besides Seoul with a U.S. diplomatic office. And it remains unclear whether Secretary of State Marco Rubio has approved the recommendation. When asked, State Department spokesperson declined to comment, saying only that the budget is still being prepared for submission to Congress.
I see. So we'll keep on top of this one and let everybody know if that is what happens. All right, next up we have Busan's Seogu district stirring up a controversy over its plan to build a veterans hall.
Yes, this time the plan is repurposing a popular local community center. And earlier, around last November, they scrapped plans to construct a new facility due to budget issues. And now the district wants to remodel the Nambu-Mindong 1's complex community center into the Veterans Hall, 보훈회관.
I see. Well, tell us about the issue itself. What's the problem?
The center has facilities like a gym, small library, book cafe, and education spaces, and many of them will be shut down or moved to make way for the new plan. And local residents are upset, saying that they regularly use the space for fitness classes, reading, and community programs.
Yes.
And they feel like their needs are being ignored. And what's more, the building was originally created in 2016 as part of a city project to foster community engagement. And critics argued the current plan goes against that original purpose and seems rushed, saying the new plan is mainly to fulfill a campaign promise by the district mayor. And Seogu district officials say that the remodel is necessary because it's the only district in Busan without a veterans hall.
Yes.
And building a new one would be too expensive. And still, many residents and local leaders think that the decision should have involved more public input.
I see. So that's what's going on in Seogu district here in Busan. Next, let's talk about this. The Busan International Boat Show is bringing the latest in marine leisure gear, right?
Yes. The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, in partnership with the Busan Metropolitan Government, announced that the 2025 Busan International Boat Show will be held from tomorrow to 20th at Pexco. And the show was launched in 2014, and this year marks the 11th year. And the event is Korea's leading marine leisure equipment exhibition. And visitors will be able to see a wide range of yachts, boats, navigation systems, communication and safety gear, and leisure products all in one place. And the show will take place across two venues. One is 육상 전시장 on land at Pexco's Exhibition Hall 1. And the other is 해상 전시장 on water at a nearby marina.
Okay.
And over 130 companies will participate, operating around 850 booths.
Yeah, so this is actually a major event that happens all the time here at Pexco. Tell us more, though.
At the exhibition's business zone, buyers from 12 countries across the Americas, Asia, and the Middle East and Europe will meet with Korean marine leisure companies for networking and export consultations. The indoor venue will also feature hands-on experience zones where people can try surfing, canoeing, and fishing. And meanwhile, at the outdoor marina near Haeundae River Cruise, visitors who complete the indoor stamp tour will be offered a free leisure boat ride.
Oh, nice. So if you complete that, you get the stamps, then you get a free boat ride. So go check that one out. Lastly, let's talk about the nation's first and largest comic book public library, which is going to open in 연제구 district. It's coming up this June.
Yes. I know you told us that your mom used to take you to the library a lot.
All the time,
Yeah.
but never comic books.
Never, okay.
Never. Yeah, it was just like real books.
Okay. Yeonje Comic Book Library is entirely dedicated to comics and webtoons, and the space will feature over 30,000 comic books, which makes it the largest public library in the country dedicated solely to comics. And it's located near Busan Station. And the library has been designed to allow people of all ages and backgrounds to enjoy comics.
So for people who are interested, we need further details, floor by floor.
Yes. The first floor will feature a comic lounge and showcase recommended comics for teenagers and award-winning selections.
Okay.
And the second floor, the visitors can relax in the comic forest, which includes beanbags and bed-style reading seats. Better not to fall asleep.
I hope not. With comic books, right?
And the third floor will include a program room for cultural events and lectures, as well as a web cartoon creation studio where people can make their own webtoons.
Oh.
And on the fourth floor, a multi-purpose hall will host a variety of events, including film screenings, author talks, and cultural performances.
Yes.
And ahead of its opening, the district also collected rare and historically valuable comics from citizens to build a special collection showcasing the rich history of Korean and Busan-based comics.
I see. So definitely go check this out. This is coming up this June once again. Thanks for all the updates. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Now back to you, the listeners, for our traffic and weather. It is now time for our traffic report. Right now here in Busan, there is some congestion on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyong ramp to the old Gayageum toll gate. Also, there's some backup on Luno Samsung-daedo from Myeongji underpass to Shinho Bridge. It's looking slow from Bandok Gyocharo to the Namhae Expressway, Tokchon ramp right now, and also congested on Nakdong Namno from Gangso Police Station to the Seongsan three-way intersection. As for the weather, it is currently 16 degrees already, but it is cloudy. The daytime high will go up to 20, similar to yesterday. Across the nation, much warmer with daytime highs going up to, are you ready for this? In some areas, 27 degrees Celsius today. Cloudy across the country with light rain forecast for parts of Gangwon. And there are strong winds across the country. Please be aware of this. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest with Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yay. So before we get into our text topic, your response, I want to read Leslie's response because today I've been asking all you wavers out there about receiving and giving feedback or criticism. And Leslie says this, I feel that I'm very good at giving feedback. I use the feedback sandwich method. 샌드위치래요. 자, what is the sandwich? 자, 빵. I would say the bottom layer. Positive feedback. 좋은 feedback 좋고요. 그 다음에 constructive criticism. And this is really important. It's not just criticism, it's constructive criticism, kind of the meat, what she wants to say. I mean, it's direct but not in a mean way. And then ending it with that top layer, positive feedback. 너무 좋지 않아요? This is such a good idea.
It's my favorite.
I love it. I'm going to use that.
I do that too. I try to do that, but mine always comes out to be like an open sandwich. It's like, what if you can't find the second compliment? You're like,
You got to fish for it.
I know.
You got to dig deep. Yes.
But I always do like to start with a compliment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are you good at receiving
speaking of
criticism?
interesting feedback, I
Yes.
just read from our producer, 오늘 부잣집 맏며느리 같다는데요, 제가. She told me I have this old money aesthetic going on. Yeah, but like
Is
the
that positive?
Is it? Is it?
She's like, I don't know.
So,
Yes.
apart from this, I think I love receiving feedback and constructive criticism.
Right.
I do love it because I think, as freelancers and after like a certain number of years you've been on the job,
Right.
people don't give you feedback anymore. They just assume like, oh, you've been doing at this for 7, 8 years, 10 plus years. Like, oh yeah, you know what you're doing. But I'm like, but do I? Do I though? You think? You would think.
And sometimes we might become complacent.
Exactly.
Right. Meaning so 너무 익숙해서.
Right. I don't want to
잘하고
become this
있는지 아닌지.
고인물. Like I want to
True.
become 고인물 in a positive way. That I've been here for a while, but not, stale.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we appreciate constructive criticism. 근데 너무 못 듣기는.
But again, sandwich. Haley, we love you. Something, something. But really, we love you. Yeah.
But we love you.
But do we?
Do we? Yes, of course we do. We're going to jump into our first story, of course, the presidential election. The primaries are moving very quickly right now, so we need the latest on the snap presidential election.
Right, so let's start with the ruling People Power Party. They have whittled down the candidate pool from 11 to 8 as of yesterday. So according to the PPP's election commission or committee leader, Hwang Woo-yeol, they've cut 3 candidates that did not meet the people's standards, along with factors like name recognition and political experience. So real quick, in alphabetical order, it goes former Labor Minister Kim Mun-soo,
Yes.
lawmakers 나경원, 안철수, former lawmaker Yang Hyang-ja, Incheon Mayor Yu Jung-bok, Gyeongbuk Governor Lee Cheol-woo, former chair of the party Han Dong-un, and former Daegu Mayor Hong Jun-pyo.
Okay.
So round 1 of the primaries will determine the top 4 candidates. That'll take place on April 22nd. Up next is the vision presentation. They're having a media day today and tomorrow, group televised debates this weekend, then Monday and Tuesday for the vote. And the national convention for the ruling party will be on May 3rd, which is when we will know the candidate, if not before then.
Yes. But some lawmakers have already begun, I guess, endorsing others, right?
Right. So lawmakers Park Soo-young, Tae-young, Kim Sun-kyo, and In Yo-han yesterday announced their endorsement of former Labor Minister Kim 장문수.
Okay.
And the four will head Kim's campaign's policy, organization, envoy, and Korea-U.S. alliance departments, respectively.
So that's the PPP. Now let's talk about the main opposition Democratic Party, the DP.
Right. Again, a much smaller list with 3 candidates, and they got together for the party's fair election pledge ceremony, where they promised a fair primary and unity after the candidates or after the candidate would have been decided. And former chair Lee Jae-myung's camp issued a press release yesterday saying that Lee reached a legal campaign contribution, maximum of 2.94 billion won, and the campaign said that the 99% of these were smaller donation of 100,000 won or below, and Lee thanked the supporters on his social media.
I see. Well, that's where we are on the election. And of course, daily we'll probably have updates. Moving on, there's money. Money sitting around from the National Health Insurance Fund waiting to be claimed. So we need to know, what is this?
Where is this? How can I get my hands on
exactly.
it? Right. So we're talking about tens of billions of won sitting there waiting for you. Maybe. So according to audit reports from the National Health Insurance Corporation, as of last September, 32.7 billion won of unclaimed or overpaid insurance funds that need to go back to the subscriber, so us. It's just sitting there. And that's a huge jump from the past couple of years. So where's this money from? It's for people who accidentally paid twice. Maybe, for example, you paid in person, but the same month you signed up for automatic withdrawal and it withdrew the money.
Okay.
Or your salary or other criteria like assets and things like that changed. So your insurance funding actually went down, but you continue to pay the same amount as before, so on and so forth. So this is, again, your money that you've overpaid. But the problem is, it's not being claimed.
Okay.
And it actually, bigger problem, it expires after 3 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't
3 years. That's
sit there
important.
waiting for you forever. It goes back to the National Health Insurance Fund.
Okay.
So between 2019 and 2021, 6.6 billion won disappeared from you, but the money did go back again into the public fund. But again, it's your money that you overpaid.
Yes. So, main question. How do people find out? Like, am I eligible? Did I overpay? How can I claim the money?
So the insurance corporation, they do try to reach you, but I don't know. Do you actually look at like all the text messages and alerts on your apps? Like,
Guilty.
oh, you have a message from the health insurance corporation. I just assume it's you, the corporation yelling at me to get my yearly physical. And I'm like, I'll do that in December.
Sure.
And I just dismiss it. So the corporation runs a focused payment returns period, and it has people sign up for automatic returns via wire transfer. So if you do that, 자동 입금, then the money will appear in your bank account.
Okay.
And then they also send notices via the Naver app. However, 40% of the money is still sitting unclaimed at 29.2 billion won. Some regional offices, though, they have been critiqued as being a bit passive in their notices.
Yes.
And also people just aren't signing up for these automatic refund accounts.
I see.
Here's what you can do, though, because I got real curious and I was like, do I have free money laying around? You can look up this information via nhis.or.kr or just look up 국민건강보험 환급금 조회 on any of the portal sites. And I did yesterday.
And?
Nil. Zero. Zilch. They're like, 없습니다. And I was like, 그래? 그럴 줄 알았어요. I knew it.
Yes.
I knew it, but I had to check.
After Morning Wave in Busan is over, waivers, go check, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you for the useful information. All right, now let's go to this international story. We're going to talk about the civil war in Sudan, marking the second year of this civil war this weekend. It's been called the worst humanitarian crisis in the world.
Right. So unfortunately it is, and we're quoting the United Nations, which said this is the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. But I have to say one of the most underreported issues, or just not getting the attention it needs. So it has been 2 years since fighting erupted in the capital of Khartoum between the Sudanese army, the military, and the paramilitary rapid support forces, or the RSF.
Yes.
And they're in a power struggle. The army is led by the country's de facto ruler, and the RSF by a former drug lord or warlord. So in terms of why is this the worst humanitarian crisis right now, let's look at the numbers. So we're talking about tens of thousands of people reportedly dead, but because of the tense situation on the ground, international aid organizations and governmental figures are just not there getting the official numbers out.
Yes.
Almost 13 million people displaced. Over 25 million people malnourished, 영양실조. 4.9 of them are children under the age of 5 or pregnant women. 750,000 people are facing famine, 기아. And 17 million children are out of schools. At least 12 million civilians at high risk of sexual assault. And this is disturbing. Please be aware. We're talking about toddlers and infants that have been treated by Doctors Without Borders last year from sexual assault.
Oh, gosh.
So recently, you may have seen this in the headlines, the RSF attacked refugee camps in the western Darfur region.
Yes.
And hundreds of people are feared to have been killed in this conflict. Both sides in the war, they've been accused of war crimes and deliberately targeting civilians, and both sides deny this.
Yes, so horrific to hear about. But we needed this reminder. And the thing about Sudan, the capital city of Khartoum, is that it was a city of prosperity 2 years ago.
Right. So if
we
you
have
look at
this.
photos
Yes.
from Khartoum, it was filled with high rises, 5-star hotels, and oil money.
Yes.
And of course, that's all in ruins right now. And also going to the western area of Darfur, which is filled with refugee camps that have been bombed and attacked. It's also a wealthy city where major gold mines are located. And it exported $4 billion worth of gold last year alone.
Sure.
But here's the thing, ironically, this is why the areas are being targeted. So some locals have called this the gold curse, 금의 저주. So the gold mines serve as resources for the RSF forces. So it's a major money line. So again, the $4 billion I mentioned just now, a lot of that money is controlled by the RSF forces, and they use that money to buy drones, guns, and missiles. So the so-called gold curse continues because unfortunately that wealth has attracted outside interests. That includes the Wagner Group, the Russian mercenaries, and the UAE, which sponsors the RSF.
Yes.
The Sudan's government forces, they use the gold as well. So again, one aid worker locally said her country's been cursed by gold, and that is what funds these armed groups. But unfortunately, as we know, international attention is elsewhere when it comes to global conflicts. The United Nations and NGOs, they have said civilians are continuing to pay the price for inaction by the international community.
Right. And once again, like you just said, we're paying attention to areas like the Gaza Strip, also Ukraine.
Right.
And then this is kind of going under the radar.
It is. I mean, unfortunately, those situations are serious as well, but we have to think about what international interests are tied into the other factors there.
Yes. Well, thank you for all the news. And we'll be sure to check in with you for hour number 2, 와글와글. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And we're ready for our first song, but here it is. This is 나와 같다면 by Kim Jang-hoon, as requested by Taejin.
그런 날에 너만 혼자 집에 있을 때 넌 옛 생각이 나는지 그럴 땐 어떡하는지 또 우울한 어떤 날 비마저 내리고 듣던 노래가 라디오에서 나오면 그처럼 울고 싶은지 왜 자꾸만 후회되는지 나의 잘못했던 일과 너의 따뜻한 마음만 더 생각나 너의 방안을 정리하다가 내 사진이 혹시 나오면 너 찍고 마는지 한참을 바라보는지 또 우울한 어떤 날 비마저 내리고 늘 우리가 듣던 노래가 라디오에서 나오면 나처럼 울고 싶은지 왜 자꾸만 후회되는지 나의 잘못했던 일과 너의 따뜻한 마음만 더욱 생각나 그대여 나와 같다면 내 마음과 똑같다면 그냥 나에게 오면 돼널 위해 비워둔 내 마음 그 자리로 나와 같다면 내 마음과 똑같다면 그냥 나에게 오면 돼널 위해 비워둔 내 마음 그 자리로 나처럼 울고 싶은지
What a good song choice. Thank you, Taejin. Now let's talk about our text topic. We're talking about feedback and criticism. Are you good at dishing it out? Feedback or criticism? And also, how good are you at taking in criticism, whether it's direct or indirect? So that is the question posed to you, and your response is very interesting. So first up, we have Junwon. By the way, how are you, Junwon? I haven't seen you in a while. And he actually recommends the book. I can't give the name of the title of the book. There's a famous book called Dang about giving honest feedback while genuinely caring about the other person. And he finishes it off saying, recommended. So if you're interested in what book I'm referring to, you can join us on our YouTube, the chatting there, and check out what he's talking about. Also, another take from, I want to read this nice message from JC Neem. Tuning into the show is my morning routine while I'm off to work. I would like to express my appreciation to all the staff working at this broadcasting station. And that is the reason why I read it, is I feel like that's such positive feedback. And that's what kind of keeps us going, not just here on Morning Wave in Busan, but of course all the shows as well. And Tommy actually says, I don't give feedback or criticism personally in my work field, but if I have to give feedback, I give it in, he says, it's very short, strict, and direct. He says, I don't use Leslie's sandwich. But for each person, I think it's so different, like how you give feedback and how you receive it. So to each his or her own, I say, whatever gets, whatever it takes for you to get out the feedback, whether it's direct or indirect. All right, now let's get to Kat's Pick for Thursday. right, so you may have heard about that 5.2 magnitude earthquake in San Diego, California on Monday local time. But it's not just human beings that did the usual. In English, we say drop, cover, and hold on. That's the mantra. But what did this pack of, I'll say animals? Let's listen to the clip from Inside Edition.
It's the video that has the whole world talking. The circle of life. For real.
The big elephants did something very interesting.
Elephants even rushing to protect their young as an earthquake hits.
The video begins with the herd of elephants at San Diego Zoo Safari Park reacting when they feel the ground shake. A 5.2 magnitude earthquake is rocking Southern California. Acting on instinct as old as time, they form a tight circle to protect two calves. It's known as an alert circle. For 3 minutes, the herd stands like a fortress of elephants.
This is a survival strategy that elephants do. It's very common if they get an environmental cue that might signal that there's danger present.
Finally, when their instincts tell them the danger has passed, the herd disperses. This is how the herd normally behaves, enjoying a mud bath in the California sunshine. But as you can see, the alert circle can form at the first sign of danger. New video is also emerging of the quake that hit at exactly 10:08 a.m. Monday. We showed you the frantic mom who grabbed her baby as the quake hit. Here they are today. Ashley Pinnock said it started when her cat practically leaped across the room.
I could hear everything cracking and creaking, and I thought, oh my gosh, the ceiling's gonna fall in. So my first reaction was to start yelling at everybody to get out of the house.
She immediately grabbed her son Michael and hightailed it out of there. This mom sheltered under a table with her kids. A napping infant is shaken awake. Dogs run for cover as their house shakes. A car parked in the garage rocks as items fall off the wall. California's early warning system is coming in for praise today. It sent an emergency alert to millions of cell phones in the region. But for these noble beasts, all they needed was pure instinct.
An alert circle. I feel like, we have much to learn from animals. Leslie's saying elephants are such amazing and smart creatures. We don't deserve them. I ditto that. I echo that sentiment. Amazing creatures. How about this? How about we be our own alert circle? Like if there's something going on and we need to let each other know, I think that's a great way. We can definitely take a page out of their book. This was Kat's Pick for today. It's time for Chris and Beyond the Headlines. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, it's a beautiful day out today. It is,
Yes.
It is the perfect temperature for me.
Yeah, it's really kind of like warm compared to yesterday. In the
Yeah.
morning, it was a little chilly.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's like really.
It's at that deciding point. Do I wear that heavy coat or do I get something really light?
Right, exactly. So that's why I wore layers, just in case later if it gets warm, I can shed the cardigan.
Yeah.
Yes. So today we're talking about feedback. Are you good at giving feedback, receiving feedback? Do you do it directly, indirectly?
As my years of teaching, I've really come to value direct feedback. I remember sitting in my office one day, and the boss that her office was a little bit could hear her off from the other office.
Okay.
She didn't realize that I was sitting there and was giving feedback about me to somebody else.
Oh, to somebody else.
Yeah, and it was very negative, and I was like, I wish that they would have just told me this directly
And not
like the gossiping to each other.
Yes.
So, and that it really gave me a really strong appreciation for people who are able to give that direct feedback. So
that's a good point.
I'm able to improve on something, so I try to take that and move it forward to the nobody benefits from beating around the bush. So
so give it. You'd much rather have it direct.
Yeah.
And definitely not talking about you behind your back.
yeah, definitely.
Got it. Thanks for sharing. So what do you have for us today?
Well, first thing, it's the final Thursday before midterms.
Yes.
So I know most of our university students, so I just wanted to wish everybody good luck.
Yes.
On their exams. And I saw a funny news story on the BBC this week about a trend that's been popping up in a lot of places. I know I've seen this in my news feed, and some friends have sent it to me. But I'll leave you in suspense for a moment while I ask you about what you think is the biggest honor you can receive.
Oh, that's tough. Biggest honor that I could receive.
Something that symbolizes the success you've made in this world.
I don't know. Like I've received. See, this is a tough one because like when I was younger, it was like with my helicopter tiger mom, whatever you want to call her, like, she pushed me in every single way possible. So we had this like wall of fame that she created. And I was so uncomfortable with it because she loved like displaying awards and achievements and trophies and all that. And I just, it made me really uncomfortable. Right.
So does that explain why like we can't find all those awards in your house these days?
Yeah, there's nothing to signify any of that, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right.
I know that you're very successful, and there are lots of things that are important.
Yes.
Like the awards are nice, or maybe getting elected to important position in a professional organization.
Right.
But honestly, for me, the biggest honor would be to have a doll made in my image.
A doll?
Yeah. Can you imagine going to a toy store and seeing yourself on the shelves? I really think that means that you've made it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, kind of. Yeah, you've made it, and maybe a slightly creepy little bit, just a little, depending on what the doll looked like.
Yeah. Well, there's this trend that's been going around, and actually, there are many of them going around on very similar themes, and it's using to upload a photo to one of the many artificial intelligence image creators and have it create an image of you in a particular style. Some of the more popular ones recently have been to create a Studio Ghibli style or an action figure or a Barbie doll type thing. And I'm sure some of our listeners have actually done this, and it would be awesome to be able to see these. So if you have done this, send some to our Kakao Talk.
Oh, and what image do we have here?
This is me through Studio Ghibli.
On ChatGPT.
On ChatGPT, yeah. This is one I took of my mother in that same style. Like you can see the picture that I uploaded.
Yeah.
Just asked the AI generator to upload it, create it in a Ghibli style.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have all of that. These things have been everywhere, and because the process is so simple that regular folks, as well as brands and influencers, have been creating their own mini-me creations. But still, according to the authors of this article, Liz Mahom and Iram Maham Jones, technology reporters at the BBC, many people, they're urging people to avoid these trends over concerns about AI data and water and energy use.
Wow. So, I mean, we've talked about how AI works, but, we need to focus in on the whole energy, data, and water usage because we don't really think about that. We think about like what's hot, what's trendy, and we want to try all the new like gimmicky things out there, but we don't really think about the environmental impact, right?
Yeah, we don't really touch on that. When we talk about this data energy use, like AI really does require a lot of energy. Professor Gina Neff at the Queen Mary University, London, told the BBC that ChatGPT uses more electricity than 117 countries combined.
What?
Yeah, so think about all the smaller countries in there combined.
Wow.
For just ChatGPT, and that's only one of the AI models.
Yes.
Lance Olnoff, editor of Tech Radar, said in the article, in an article he published, "We have a joke at my house that every time we create one of those AI memes, it kills a tree." That's hyperbole, of course, but it's safe to say that AI content generation is not without cost, and perhaps we should be thinking about using it differently. Another sticking point is water use. You might not think that water and computers go well together. They're not really, they're kind of polar opposites. But the data centers, the servers at the data centers that the AI generators use are housed in, they become super hot. And because of all the computers running, and to cool them, they use a lot of water. Soleil Ren, a researcher at the University of California, Riverside, published a study that found ChatGPT gulps 500 milliliters of water for every 10 to 50 prompts, depending on where the AI models are deployed.
Really?
Yeah, and this has led to protests. In July, protesters gathered at Uruguay's capital to push back against Google's plans to build a data center, in part due to the vast amounts of water that are required when the South American country was suffering from its worst drought in 75 years.
Wow. So, I mean, we're talking about like countries that are fighting back against drought. And then on the other hand, us not really thinking about the consequences of using these
just
generative
putting in a fun,
AI programs, right?
A fun prompt and getting something coming out. So another concern is based on privacy and how copyrighted data has been used in the training sets. Many artists who've created images, they were probably used without their consent or, being paid for their work.
Exactly.
Professor Neff added that ChatGPT Barbie represents a triple threat to our privacy, our culture, and our planet. While the personalization might feel nice, the systems are putting brands and characters into a blender with no responsibility for the slop that emerges.
I see. Well, what is
here's an example of...
Oh, here's an example.
So
oh my gosh.
One of the prompts that you can do that has been trending is the doll prompt.
Okay.
Where you create yourself into a doll, an action figure. In this case, I did a couple with...
Is that you on the right as well?
Yes. You just upload a picture, type in the prompt, and then go ahead and throw that in there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then did one for the two of us. Yeah.
That's cute. I like it. Wow. Yeah. But, we're laughing and smiling, but we're using energy to do that, right?
That is true, yes.
I'm curious. How have the artists responded?
Oh, it's hard to say exactly, but some of the artists are upset while others have taken different approaches.
Sure.
Holly Rolfe told Angela Yang of NBC News that she found herself sighing with frustration. She said it was the worst was seeing small, especially creative businesses and even graphic designs hopping on the trend. And I think it reinforces how tone-deaf big business can be and accentuates the gulf between the brand and customers. Every single one of the businesses, even the small ones, could have afforded to pay an artist, but they didn't. However, it didn't stop other artists from being creative. The hashtag Starter Pack No AI began circulating soon after the action figure starter packs took off as a way, to a counterwave to the AI production, where artists produced hand-drawn versions of these starter packs.
And I have a question. I don't know if you've been able to get the information, but there have been issues brought up, especially with the whole, in air quotes, the Ghibli style, generative, images that have been produced, right? I mean, how does Studio Ghibli feel about this?
Well, when this trend started going off, especially with the Studio Ghibli, many people were concerned about copyright.
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli itself hasn't commented on this trend, but in the past, Hayao Miyazaki has commented that AI-generated art is an insult to life itself.
Insult to life.
Pretty strong feelings there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Other people like Rachel Dormal, a graphic designer in Michigan, worries about artists being pushed out of their livelihoods. She told NBC News that people don't understand all the training data that is sucked up to create a soulless reproduction of someone's style. There are some artists out there who spend their entire lives building a specific style, only for it to be stolen and reproduced by the chatbots.
Yes. Well, we're going to have to call it a wrap for today. It's actually at the end of our season.
Yes.
So I do want to take the time to say thank you so much for all the really, really intriguing stories that you've brought to our listeners and viewers.
Yes,
So-
it's been a pleasure to come to
Yes.
visit you every week and see all the responses that everybody does on the YouTube channel and the Kakao Talk channel.
Indeed.
I hope you have a good one. Everybody work hard.
Yay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. It's time to wrap up for not today, for the first hour only. This is 듣고 싶을까 by MSG Wannabe. So enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
우리 함께 듣던 그 노래를 듣고 싶을까 듣고 나서 잠시 날 생각은 할까 아주 혹시라도 넌 내가 보고 싶을까 난 왜 네 목소리가 듣고 싶을까 뻔하디 뻔한 노랫말여서 미안해 미안해도 부디 넌 꼭 들어줬음 해 후회도 미련도 없는 척 떠났지만 이게 내 진심인 걸 꼭 알아줬음 해 우리 함께 듣던 그 노래를 듣고 싶을까 듣고 나서 잠시 날 생각은 할까 아주 혹시라도 넌 내가 보고 싶을까 못난 내 목소리가 듣고 싶을까 말없이 다전해지는 건 없지 난 말해 지금 몇 년째 나의 favorite one You're the only one Yes I know 무엇도 달라질 건 없지만 이게 내 진심인 걸 꼭 알아줬음에 우리 함께 듣던 그 노래를 듣고 싶을까 듣고 나서 잠시 널 생각은 할까 아주 혹시라도 넌 내가 보고 싶을까 나는 이 목소리가 듣고 싶을까
Your Bridge to the World. BEFM 부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산. 여러분
김밥가게 박 사장님도, 문구점 김 사장님도, 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Constitutional Court accepts injunction against acting president's justice nominations. The Constitutional Court yesterday unanimously accepted an injunction suspending acting President Han Duck-soo's recent nominations of 2 Constitutional Court justices. In its ruling, the court said it cannot definitively conclude that a prime minister acting on behalf of the president has the authority to nominate and appoint Constitutional Court judges. With the decision, parliamentary confirmation hearings and appointments of the nominees Lee Won-yu and Ham Sang-hun will be withheld until the court renders its verdict on the constitutionality of nominations done by an acting president. Missing worker from Gwangmyeong road collapse found dead. A worker was found dead 6 days after having been missing in the collapse of a subway construction site in Gwangmyeong, Gyeonggi. His body was recovered 125 hours after the accident. Rescue workers discovered his body via an endoscopic camera yesterday evening, but it took some time to remove his body as the structure of the collapse site was fragile. Workers had dug 21 meters into the ground and removed some 300 tons of soil and sand overnight, said the authorities. Government to revert med school quota to pre-increase level. The government has decided to return the nation's medical school enrollment quota for 2026 to the pre-increase level of 3,058 2 years ago and will officially announce the decision today. Education Minister Lee Joo-ho will hold a press conference this afternoon to announce the 2026 admissions quota, which will be equivalent to the figure before the government put forward a plan to increase medical school admissions by 2,000 a year ago to address a chronic shortage of doctors. The government has promised to revert to the pre-increase quota level if all medical students return to schools by the end of March after a year-long class boycott. Although almost all students have registered for classes, many are still refusing to attend classes. Government urges domestic airlines to fully enforce emergency exit safety measures. The government urged domestic airlines to strictly enforce emergency exit door safety measures after a passenger on an Air Seoul flight opened the emergency exit. The Transport Ministry sent an official notice to 11 domestic airlines, calling on them to improve aviation safety education and promotion through cabin stickers and in-flight announcements, as well as training cabin crew to better monitor passengers showing abnormal behavior. This move comes after a passenger on an Air Seoul flight preparing to depart from Jeju on Tuesday opened an emergency exit door, claiming she had experienced claustrophobia. Trump touts big progress ahead of trade talks with Japan. U.S. President Donald Trump is meeting with a Japanese delegation on trade and wrote big progress on his social media page as the two countries set off to negotiations. Negotiations have begun with Japanese delegation over the 24% reciprocal tariff on Japanese imports, with President Trump, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and top economic advisors. The results from this meeting will be an important reference point for South Korea, as Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok is set to visit the U.S. for trade talks next week to negotiate the 25% tariff. And this was News Highlights. It's time for Wagged. Haley's back.
Hello, hello.
Yes, so we're going to jump into our first story, which is this. The police caught a fugitive who has been on the run for attempted murder after 16 years. So what happened? How?
He walked in.
Like literally?
Just to the police station.
Oh.
Yeah.
He turned himself in?
Not
really?
So we're somewhere in the between of why did he walk into the police station but didn't turn himself in? Let's get to this. All right, so why was he a fugitive? This man, 16 years ago, allegedly visited his business rival. It seems that they were running a 노래방 in Eunpyeonggu district in Seoul with a can filled with paint thinners, which is a flammable material, and a blunt weapon with the intent, allegedly, to kill the rival.
Oh my goodness.
An employee who tried to stop him sustained bad burns all over his body. And this man ran away and the police never caught him until now.
Yes, and you say he just kind of waltzed into the police station. So did he confess or what happened?
No, but he may have forgotten that he was on the run because he visited the police station last month to get a driver's license related document, 운전면허 증명서, and into the civil services department. So he went in as 민원인. Yeah, the police, of course, everything's connected.
Yes.
They checked his identification because you do need your resident registration number. When you type that in, boom, oh look, he's wanted for attempted murder.
Oh goodness.
And arrested him. So he has been indicted under detention by Seoul's 서부 prosecution.
Oh.
So yeah, that's
if you're on the lam, meaning on the run, that's not a
the
place.
run, right?
Yeah.
Or turn yourself in, please. But
you should have never tried to murder somebody.
So many.
Yes.
You shouldn't have in this story. Number one, don't do that.
Yeah.
Number two, don't really. Really? Interesting.
Yes, hence we're talking about it on our
but
segment.
The streets are safer. It's one person safer.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, the next story is about a tennis player who had an unconventional critique about her opponent.
Right, which is where our text topic came
Yes.
from. So, tennis player, maybe it's about her serve or her form. No, the critique was, you need to wear deodorant.
Really?
Yeah.
She straight up said that.
Straight up. Well, not to her face, but it was said. All right, so let's go back. This is British tennis player Harriet Dart. She has apologized for asking the umpire, so the 심판, to tell her French opponent to put on deodorant. Why?
Because she's on the way other side of the net, right?
Tennis courts are big. I have yet to be able to get the ball across that net. So the courts are big.
Okay.
So maybe it was the heat of the moment because Dart lost the first round during a competition to the French player, Louise Bosson. But during the changeover, Dart was heard over the broadcast. So a hot mic moment. And we know what those are like. Asking the umpire, can you ask her to put on deodorant? She smells really bad.
Oh, gosh.
Thankfully, the French player Bosson, she was out of earshot when this happened. But of course, it made the rounds. People, I'm sure, told her. So Dart, and it ended well though. It didn't turn into a feud. And this is a case of people taking criticism well and also taking undue criticism with humor.
Okay.
So Dart did the right thing. She later posted on social media that she wants to apologize for the heat of the moment comment. She regrets it. It's not who she is. It's not how she wants to carry herself, and that she had a lot of respect for the opponent.
Well, the other player actually didn't make too much out of it. She didn't get too much into it.
She made light of it, which is very admirable. So later, the French player Bosson, and you can see her comment, she posted an edited photo of her holding some deodorant and telling toiletry companies, like, she named one, the D company, we maybe need a collaboration.
Oh.
Yeah, so hey. So by the way, this is a 21-year-old French player. She was ranked 303rd in the world. Dart was ranked 62nd. Busan beat Dart, so that was apparently also an interesting match.
Yes.
And she has made it onto the round of 16 in the tournament.
I see. Well, good luck to her. And I don't know. I understand, like, in the heat of the moment, especially in sports, some things are said, but, it really shouldn't be said.
That's not right. I mean, I understand. If you are really that passionate, I mean, obviously you're a professional. You can, I don't know, yell, cuss, say, bleep things, but also to make such a pointed comment about a personal matter that
has nothing to do with the sport, by the way. All right, up next, let's talk about this marital dispute over money, but this time it's over whether one spouse making a lot of money was in betrayal of marital trust.
All right, I want married people's opinion. You, married person.
Excuse me.
I
coughing up a lung,
why are you
but
joking?
Yes.
But if your roommate, without you knowing, made 300 million won, 3억 won, but you didn't know about it.
Oh.
How would you feel?
Oh, not good.
Right.
I mean, that's putting it lightly.
Okay.
If my roommate made 3억 won without letting me know and was like kind of keeping it a secret?
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
No, definitely not.
All right. I want all y'all's opinion on it. 배우자가 나 모르게 3억 원을 벌었다면.
And then what do they do it? Are they going to give it to me?
Well, I don't know. Ask your roommate. I'm so scared. I'm so afraid.
Yes.
All right. So this is via this YouTube channel of an attorney, 양나래. So the husband wrote this letter, this question. So he works. His wife is a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home wife. She made a lot of money over cryptocurrency.
Ooh.
But now he wants to know whether she would be the spouse at fault, 유책 배우자, if they got a divorce.
Oh.
Yeah. So the couple made crypto investments early on in the marriage a few years ago and lost a lot of money. So they decided together, we shouldn't do that anymore. We're not going to do that anymore. So recently, though, he asked his wife, that's when the crypto market was, doing its thing.
Yes.
Whether he asked her, the market seems good. Should we make like a short-term investment, get in and get out? She said no, because we have our 전세 deposit coming up. They have their long-term rental deposit, which is a huge amount of money.
She said no?
She said no.
Okay.
And then he found out, he saw on her phone, she had a crypto app. And he said, hey. And then she said, no, I just have this app so I can look at prices.
So she straight up lied.
She's in charge of the finances in their home. So she straight up lied because he went into it, found out that she had put in their recently completed savings bond, their 적금, 만료된 적금, into the crypto investment. Although she was really successful because that 적금, the savings bond, seed money was under 100 million won. She tripled that to 300 million won.
But still.
I know.
As people are chiming in, the married people, Umberto, Leslie, the betrayal.
Oh.
Yes, because either it could have gone the other way too, though. What if she lost it completely?
True. This is true. And this is why you guys are so much wiser. Because I was like, hey, free money. But I guess that's not the case.
That's not the point.
It's not the point. And that's the husband's side too. It's a trust issue. It goes beyond money. That she hid it from him despite her making money.
Yes.
And he accused her of trying to take money from them, the joint account. And the wife was like, we have more money. Why aren't you happy about it? But then the attorney said, well, they could have lost the money too.
Exactly.
Because it is a speculative market.
Right.
And the attorney's legal expert opinion was, if there were to be a divorce, it could be the wife who's at fault because the savings account was their joint account.
Right.
And she used the money without, and this is a legal aspect, she used the money without the husband's consent in an investment that could have gone very wrong.
Yes.
And by the way, and if you're getting into the legalese, yes, she made the money out of obviously her own decision, but the seed money came from his salary, which is just a couple source of income. So if they were to get a divorce, that money that she made, so that would be 300 million won, that would be open to an equal and equitable division.
Oh, as it should be, in my humble opinion. Because, they were married.
Trust is important.
Yes, very, very much. Apparently, yes. And Tommy's saying, 그래서 애초에 결혼을 왜 해서?
아저씨.
No. So he's kidding.
He is kidding.
I think so, yes. For final story. The latest 맛집 trend on social media is this so-called good daughters map.
효녀 맛지도.
Ooh.
Yeah. So what is this? I love this positive story. This is the internet doing a good thing, finally. Helping out small businesses.
Yes.
And a bit of self-promotion, bringing it on to social media. So it started with this, do we still call it a tweet? I can't call it like an X post. I'm going to call it a tweet.
Yes.
A tweet on X.
Yes.
From a daughter who said, my mom has been running this 백반집 Korean like at-home cooked meal food place for almost 10 years. But business is so bad. If you guys are around, can you please come visit? And this was retweeted over the platform and people actually went. They visited, posted reviews and created their own contents out of it. And the restaurant saw its sales double, apparently.
Wow.
It's a cute enough story as it is.
Yes.
Didn't end there. The daughter, the restaurant owner's daughter who originally posted it, she turned her platform and now her kind of new set of followers into a whole thing. That she used her platform for good.
Yes.
Started her own social media movement, uploading posts from other daughters of small business owners in similar situations who are kind of showing off their moms or dads cooking and their businesses. So then some entrepreneur mind turned it into a map on portal site because you can save places.
Yes.
This is a 효녀 businesses. It was created, of course, there are sons too, but since it started as daughters, the name stuck that way.
Okay.
So one reporter, and I'm accrediting Oh My News, said that they visited one of these restaurants, and it was a mom and pop store that younger people just wouldn't normally know about because it's not just hot on social media.
Yes.
And there was apparently a very sweet interaction when the reporter said, hey, I saw your daughter's post about it, and the mom got very flattered and flustered in a good way. She blushed and she was like, oh, my daughter, 효녀예요, like she's such a good daughter. So it's just a warm moment.
Yes.
And the article points out, and this is very interesting, it's an important bridge because these older small business owners, they don't know how to advertise on social media.
That's true.
But in order to reach a younger generation of potential customers, you do need that social media input and output.
Yes.
So the daughters, the children, adult children are helping them cross that bridge. And it also adds a really sweet humanizing aspect that we go to these restaurants. It's not just a restaurant owner. That's someone's parents.
That's true.
Right. And there's actually an academic background to this. Jeremy Rifkin, in his book, The End of Work, wrote that there are fewer jobs now due to AI automation machines.
Sure.
But instead of governments or nations filling in that kind of a welfare gap, he proposed that it'll be citizens acting out voluntarily out of their volition. And this could be a way of that sort of civic-led movement to help people out.
Yes. Well, thank you for ending it with that heartwarming story. We're going to let you go, but we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. This is, the song is for Tommy. We got to do the weather. I was so excited because I wanted to read out the title of we'll get to that song. Here's your traffic and weather first. Here's your traffic update on Junggang Expressway, the Jisan Regional Branch, going toward Yangsan, right near the Daedong Juncture. There's a vehicle that is broken down, causing some backup. It's also congested on the Gwangan Bridge, that top portion, going towards Namcheon-dong. Traffic on Chungnyeol-daero from Miram intersection from Manduk Tunnel number 2. It's also slow going on Beonyeonglo from the Daeyeon ramp to Gwangan Tunnel. And also backed up on Junggang-daero from the Seomen intersection to Samjeon intersection. It is currently 17 degrees already, but it's going to go up to just 20. It is quite cloudy. Across the nation, you, depending on where you are, may feel it go up to 27 degrees today. It's going to be cloudy across the country with light rain forecast for parts of Gangwon. And strong winds are expected also. This was your traffic and weather. Here we go. 화려한 single by 양혜승.
결혼은 미친 듯이야 정말 그렇게 생각
like sound effect at the end of the song 뭐가 깨지는 소리 아니었어요. Anyhow, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're talking about feedback and criticism, whether you're good at dishing it out, you're taking it in, and looking at your responses. It's like all over the place. Some people really believe in giving direct feedback, and others, they're not as comfortable about doing so. So, for example, let's go back up far into the messages. So we have certain people saying this. Basically, they feel uncomfortable giving feedback to anybody at work because they feel like they might cry. 울까봐 그런 걱정, 고민도 있네요. So, I don't know. For me, it depends on who I'm giving the feedback to. For family members, I used to be really direct. And then one day, somebody said, when you give direct criticism, it sounds kind of mean. I didn't really think I was being mean, but they felt like it was kind of mean. So I tried Leslie's method of kind of the roundabout, like, and by the way, I give feedback or criticism when that other person is in a good mood. I don't want to pile on someone having a bad day. I don't think it's constructive, right? So I wait until I feel that it's the right moment where like, okay, they're in a fairly good mood. And I say, hey, this and this. And by the way, this, I think next time, could you do it this way? Or maybe say it in a nicer way. So I try to go roundabout to not hurt that person's feelings. And then the feedback I get from that is much more positive. So usually, whether it's my roommate or anybody else in my family, they're like, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. And then they try to fix whatever it is. So that's my method, right? Sometimes I do have to bite my tongue, like literally, because I want to give direct feedback and it's probably very pointed. But I try to scale back, take a deep breath, and not do it directly. That's just me, though. All right? Let's get to our special interview because I'm so fascinated by this person. I'll be back in just a moment. Today, we're focusing on a person's journey from Juneau, Alaska. Her name is Jocelyn Clark, and she has become a master of the Gayageum. Obviously, for those of you, most of you know, it's a traditional Korean instrument, spanning decades of dedication and cultural immersion as well. So, as the first foreigner named an official trainee of 전라북도 Intangible Cultural Heritage number 40 for Gayageum 산적. We're talking about 무형유산 이수자. How amazing is this, right? She has not only mastered the instrument's intricate techniques, but also delved deeply into its cultural significance. And I can't wait to meet her. So let's get to her right now. Joining us is Jocelyn Clark, Gayageum Master and Professor at Peje University. Hi, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes. I would love to get an introduction from you yourself. So tell us about yourself.
Well, as you said, my name is Jocelyn Clark. My Korean name is Jocelyn, very close to my name.
Yes.
And I've been teaching at Peje University since 2008, although I originally arrived in Korea in 1992 when No Tae-woo was president on a scholarship from the National Kugak Center. At that time, it was called the National Classical Music Institute.
Yes.
And I came here to study Gayageum. I have a background in, I studied Western music as a kid, but in the countryside of Alaska, so I didn't really have access to great teachers. So when I was a teenager, I got into Japanese koto after being an exchange student and going to high school in Japan.
Yes.
And then it was called koto. And then I was studying koto. With me at university was a chin player who told me about the Chinese guzheng, which is also similar to the Gayageum. So I went to China at the Nanjing Academy of Arts to study the Chinese version of the Gayageum. And then I heard about Korea. Of course, at that time in America, there was, the Korean studies hadn't been funded yet. There was no history of Korean studies as part of East Asian studies. So we could only study about Japan and China. And at that time, I wanted to be a diplomat, so I was interested in sort of area studies in Asia. Anyway, I got lost in this world of zithers. And I was trying to come to Korea. I didn't know anything about Korea except for that it was between Japan and China.
And so when you came to Korea, what was your first impression? Because obviously your interest in Asian countries and the music of Asian countries as well. But I'm curious as to like, what were your first impressions when you first got here?
My very first impression, I remember coming in from the Gimpo International Airport and it was September and there was bad air and it was super foggy. And I just come from New York where I was, tried to study some Korean before I got here. And I thought, oh my God, this is a very dark place. And then I started studying the Gayageum and I thought, this is not the same at all to these others from East Asia.
Yes.
Totally different. It looks the same, but it's completely different. I thought, oh my gosh, so I don't understand this music. I don't know how to appreciate it. But of course I'm here on a scholarship, so I better figure it out. So I spent a year really trying to figure out why didn't it speak to me on the first listen. What did I need to understand? And, I hadn't understood the rhythm. I hadn't understood the sort of melodic modes. And what the whole music was about, because Chinese music and Japanese music is much closer to Western music than Korean music is. So after about a year of trying to figure out what's going on, I really, fell in love with the instrument and Korean music. And then I thought, oh my gosh, this is a very long road if I want to make beautiful music with this instrument. I think, really that this really shows these instruments have a similar background historically and they look the same. And I think through these instruments, you can really see what big differences there are between the cultures of Japan, China, and Korea.
Yes. Thanks for sharing your journey up to this point, at least. I'm very curious, though, if you can explain to us what it means to be designated as an intangible cultural heritage trainee. What does that exactly mean?
So they're using the word trainee because that's how the law was translated officially.
I see.
But trainee should be actually the word for 전수자, which is the level below that I just came into. So I'm 이수자 now. 전수자 is a trainee. 이수자 is more like a licensee. So it's a kind of graduation from the trainee position.
Yes.
To become a trainee, I also had to take an exam to get into the system. So this is many years of training after that to become a licensee. And I think it really took me these 33 or so years of playing to get to this level, but especially the last 2 years after deciding to, my teacher decided I could take the exam. It was against the law for foreigners to take the exam. So it was against the law to become a trainee as 전수자. And then that opened up so we could become 전수자, but we could not become 이수자. And then last year or 2 years ago, it opened up. The law changed so that we could become also 이수자. So when the law changed, we decided to, work towards passing that exam. And we've signed up for it, and then the exam time changed 6 times before, so it was constantly getting ready, and then it didn't happen. Getting ready didn't happen. So I spent the last year really sort of geared up to take the exam. The exam itself was kind of like going through a dissertation oral examination. There was 3 national judges who came from around the country.
Yes.
Both Gayageum masters and also theory people. 이론.
Yes.
So you had to sit down and then play whatever they told you. Basically, create a 30-minute sanjo on the spot there, play it through with all the rhythm patterns, and then they'll ask you theory questions about the genre, about the specific Ryupa, it's the Sangomyeon school of Gayageum sanjo that I play. So about that specific school, and this kind of questions related to what I'm doing.
Yes, and I'm curious though, because although you have studied this instrument, this art for so long, for example, not just the testing, but being immersed in the Gayageum itself. I mean, first, so many questions, but first, was this all done in Korean?
Yeah, it was all done in Korean.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine how difficult that must have been in itself, because, no matter how fluent you may be, I mean, this is difficult. It's not your mother tongue, right?
It's not my mother tongue. My biggest regret in Korea is not spending my younger years here in language classes. I spent playing Gayageum instead of doing language. So, yeah, my Korean is fluent, but with lots of problems. I can say that fast, but not accurately. So, yeah, but because this is what I'm focused on, these are actually the words that I know better than economics or something like that.
True. Hey, so I do see behind you, when we had the one shot of you, it appears to be the Gayageum in the background right behind you. But if you had to describe this instrument, because we have so many listeners from all over the world who are not familiar with Gayageum, how would you describe it? If you could, describe it in just a few sentences, what is Gayageum?
It's just a board with bridges and strings stretched over it. That's all it is. Same as the koto, same as the jang. So, and each of the instruments have a sort of lore attached to them. So we can say that the soundboard, the top of the Gayageum is curved like a heaven. The bottom board is flat like the land, and the musician connects the heaven to the earth through their playing of the instrument.
Wow.
Lots of imagery related to birds, related to the Gayageum. So the bridges are called anjok, which means the feet of the wild goose. The tail is called the phoenix tail. On the back of the instrument, there's a sun, a moon, and then a universe, kind of like a whole universe spinning.
Yes.
So there's all sorts of imagery and all of that connected to the Gayageum. What's interesting to me is that the Gayageum, even though it looks similar to almost the same as the gojang and the koto and the jang's imagery from Japan and China are related to dragons, but the Gayageum is kind of uniquely related to birds, which I thought was very interesting. You'd think it would be the same in all three countries related to dragons, but it's really not. It's related to...
Well, I hear that you perform solo pieces sometimes that last over an hour. And so what I want to know is this: how do you stay focused and emotionally connected throughout? Because, I mean, this is long. It can be very intense, I hear. So how does that work? How do you stay focused?
Yeah, so Sanjo, when it originally started, it was more like 30 minutes, or the school that I studied was more like 30 minutes. But over the years, as it became a national treasure, then they organized and what's revised and organized and edited, so that all the sort of melodies that Sangomyeon had played over the years was collected in a score. So our sanjo is about 74 minutes long. If we put it all together, I've learned about 1 hour of that. And as you said, this idea of focus is something that you really have to train. So often you keep playing the same piece over and over and over again, and you have to memorize it. And so, sometimes you play and your mind is wandering off and you don't even know where you are in the piece, because you've played, your body just goes, and then you realize that you've been playing for 5 minutes and didn't even realize, thinking about something else. So staying focused on the music is a kind of training, and it's gotten easier over the years. One thing that really helps is going to lessons, because your teacher is always criticizing your playing. You have to do this and you have to do that, and you have to move your fingers like this, and you have to remember this on this note and that note. So having your teachers, words in your mind as you're playing, that really helps, because if you think about every note, then you can stay in the music. Sometimes you're just, especially if you haven't played for a while, like you went on vacation and you come back and your fingers are out of practice, then it's just like trying to get your fingers back in shape and you start thinking about something else.
Yes.
But really keeping your teachers' comments in mind really helps to stay focused on the music. Also the stage.
Yes.
If you get on stage, you're suddenly focused in a way you're not in the practice room. So the stage is quite scary because suddenly everything becomes, in focus, as if it's each note is under the microscope or under a loudspeaker. And very like, oh God, I didn't work on this note enough.
So looking at some of the visuals of your very creative shows that you put on, like, for example, mixing visuals with, live Gayageum. How do you balance honoring, of course, the tradition of the Gayageum, but also giving it something a little modernity to make it, I guess, visually and aesthetically pleasing, so people can maybe even focus and zero in on the Gayageum sound even more? How do you do that, the balance?
One of the problems for, these kind of old traditions is that they're not resonating with younger people.
Right.
Who grew up listening to K-pop and that kind of thing. And that's the same for young Gayageum players as well. They also grew up listening to K-pop. So, a lot of people are starting to play the 25-string Gayageum and, doing a lot of fusion, a lot of pop. TBC, for instance, had this New Captain show, like at the end of COVID, where they had traditionally trained musicians, pop music, this kind of thing. So there's a lot of interest in that, and there's a lot of groups that are really good at doing that. Being a foreigner,
yes.
I came from a background, of course, from different countries, also Western music. My background, though, is more in new music, working with composers to write pieces for, for these instruments in collaboration with instruments from other countries or even Korean instruments. So that's one thing that I do, but mostly being a foreigner, I'm really been focused on getting sanjo into my body. Getting sanjo into my body. And this is, that everything springs from that. If you can get this sort of real traditional sound into your body, I think then you can do anything else without sort of hurting the tradition, because the traditional sounds and style is inside of yourself. And then you can use that to express new things. If you don't learn that and you just do new things, then the tradition in a way gets a little bit broken.
Yes.
And that's a sad thing to lose, because once you lose tradition, especially an oral tradition, it will never come back. It's like losing a language.
Yes, and speaking of that tradition, in Korea, there is this concept of Han. And I know it's so difficult to precisely put it into English, this deep, deep sorrow that is very much a part of the Korean identity. So does that resonate with you, and how do you express that Han?
My friend Kim Dong-won and I had a discussion about that many years ago, driving down from Seoul after a concert down to Daejeon. And we came up with this word. Maybe he came up. We were discussing it, and we came up with the word fermented sorrow, a little bit like kimchi, in that layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and as it ferments, though, it becomes quite edible or digestible. Digestible in the end. I mean, Han is something that you should be able to supplement, right? You need to. It stays with you, but you overcome it at the same time. Han is a word that's kind of become toxic in the field of Korean studies. You don't talk about Han so much anymore. And I think the era of Han is quite over. I think this is the era of Hung for most young people, rather than, I think it's, we moved from Han to Hung. People are not so interested in Han anymore. But this in studying Kugak, it's a word we use a lot in describing the sentiment of certain modes. So if we talk about the Gaeyeom mode, then we talk about 한, 뭐 애틋하게 한을 표현해야 된다. So this is a word we're using sort of regularly. And then when we go to like the fast 휘몰이, something like that, the faster 장단, the rhythm cycle, then we talk about 흥. So han and hung, you can't have one without the other. I think as you know, the 태국기, the black and white of the yin and yang sort of flow in and out of each other. We're in an era more of hung than of han.
Yes.
And I think anybody over the age of 50, knows what han is, no matter where they're from.
Indeed. Well, as we wrap up our conversation, I do want to ask you on a lighter note, your name, whether it's Alaska Joshi or it's Jocelyn in, of course, English. So how did you, 어디 조십니까, 교수님?
I studied in Japanese. I went to Japanese high school in a sailor uniform. So that was katakana 조세린. And when I came to Korea, I lived in a hasukjip in Silimdong in Seoul. And my hasukjip oppa들, they said, oh, that sounds like a Korean name. So you should, let's pick hancha for you. Let's pick Chinese characters for you. So we did that, and at first we used the Narajo, the country of the Chinese dynasty, the Zhou dynasty,
Yes.
Zhou. And, at the time when I came to Korea, you sort of had to have a Korean name. Everybody said, you have to have a Korean name, so we give you Joserin. I went back to America and came back to Korea, and nobody wanted me to have a Korean name. They were like, you can't have a Korean name, you're not Korean. So nobody wants to use my Korean name anymore. So, and one of my friends says, well, if you're like out of the Tokpo, if you get yourself out of the Tokpo,
yes,
stop using the Narajo because that belongs to like a certain Tokpo. And you should make your own last name. So I thought a lot about it. It's like, okay, so where am I from? I'm from Alaska. So I made my own non-existent Chinese character with the ice radical, the two dots, and then the word for north, the book. And then the bird zhou for pronunciation. It's not quite right in terms of placement of radicals and the Chinese character pronunciation part. But anyway, I made my own hancha based on the idea of the Alaska state bird, which is the ptarmigan, which I couldn't find in the dictionary.
Oh my gosh. I love this. Thank you so much for not just explaining your journey, but of course the Gayageum and all that goes into, performing this traditional instrument. And yes, of course, we wish you the best in all your endeavors. And thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Have a nice day.
Absolutely. This was Jocelyn Clark, or 조세린, as she says. So we're going to give you a little taste of this. This is 가야금 벽창 백발가 가야금 병창 백발가. This is by Jocelyn Clark.
공도라니 백발이요 문면할 것은 주거입니다. 천황지황 인황시며 신렁시 헌원시와 요순우탕 운무주공공맹가 안동 독행이며 만고 용은 진시황도 아방궁을 사랑삼구 여산주붕어 장사허리지 세상사 가수롭다 장가소부야 불소피 나라 동원토리 변시주나 아니 놀지런 모토리라 소사 멀지 유산 폭포를 다지내고 한수로 내려가니 그때는 호시절이라 강준한 푸르르 오지고 조무홍성이 아름답다 음료를 가주려고 백락공원 내려가니 장건한 승사로나 수천장 돌리는 폭포 우시운 하나구천이라 백만 길 높은 풍은 정천 삭주리 금부용이라 알이 놀고 무서를 헐거나 거르렁거리로 지내보세
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It's time for our final city insight.
Hello, happy Thursday.
Oh, you're happy about leaving us. Okay.
Sad Thursday.
Yes. So what are we talking about today for our final segment?
Today, we're going to talk about travel. So, Catherine, what's your favorite city that you've ever traveled to?
Okay, I'm just going to keep it domestic because, that's just how we are. We roll like that. I would say Gyeongju.
Oh, yes.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, Gyeongju.
Of all the cities I've visited in Korea, aside from Busan, Gyeongju.
And it's quite close.
Yes,
like an hour away. Mine would be like Jindo.
Jindo?
Have you heard of Jindo?
Where's
It's like in the
Jindo?
middle. It's like an island. And that's where Jindokye comes from, actually. And, there's like no one there. But it's nice and very cute.
Okay.
And so let's talk about how one of the best cities to travel to has to be Busan.
Of course.
So here's a question for you, Catherine and listeners. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a Busan traveler do you think you are? Or how much of Busan do you think you've traveled?
I will admit that I have not visited every nook and cranny of Busan. I'm going to put it out there.
So like 6.
I'll go say 5.5.
Okay, well, let's find out.
Okay.
So, of course, again, I prepared another round of OX questions about traveling in Busan.
Yes.
So, if you've done it, say O.
Okay, here we go.
Here's your little... What is pedal?
Paddles.
Right, yeah.
Paddles.
So, number 1, I have tried a live octopus, 산낙지, at 자갈치 Market.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Oh, yes. Oh, of course. Did you like it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
산낙지 is good.
Yeah.
You know what I can't eat, but I know it's not from Busan? The 세발낙지 where they wrap the whole thing and it's not chopped up.
Yeah.
That I
can be
couldn't do.
dangerous too.
Yeah, that I had
So,
difficulty.
yeah,
But
be careful. Yeah.
definitely 산낙지 I've had at 자갈치. Okay.
Number 2, I've watched the sunrise or sunset at a Busan beach. 3, 2, 1. Of course. Oh,
Yes.
where at?
Oh, at 송정, 해운대, 광안리.
Okay.
Done it all.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. And then I've been to more than 6 beaches in
6
Busan.
beaches? Okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1. Oh, ooh. Which one did you not?
I don't think I've been to 임낭? Yeah, that
And
one.
일광? Have you
일광
been to
I've been to.
Okay.
I've been to
So
일광,
you've been to
송정, 해운대, 광안리,
다대포.
다대포.
송도?
송도. 송도. I ate there. I don't know if I was on the beach technically, but yes.
You've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Sounds good. 3, 2, 1. Or sorry, I have to tell you. Number 4, I have written the Hyundai Sky Capsule or Beach Train.
Okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1. Oh, and you live nearby, right?
Yeah, the blue line. Yeah, right there.
Cute.
Yes.
Number 5, I've seen a movie at the Busan Cinema Center.
Ready?
3, 2, 1. Oh, yes.
Not bad.
Of course. And I'll give you one more.
Okay.
I've posted a photo of Busan on social media.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Oh, okay.
Of course.
So you could
okay, not bad.
Just -1, right? That's
okay.
So it means you're a true Busan explorer.
Okay, if
now,
you say so.
Speaking of travel and Busan, today we're going to talk about Busan-based company that focuses on traveling and empowering women, Nomad Her.
Okay.
So let's first hear from the founder and the CEO of the company, Ms. Kim Hyo-jung, as she introduces her company, Nomad Her.
So Nomad Her, it's the community app for female travelers where we are sending the message like she can travel anywhere. It's a community app where we focuses on creating the very supporting vibe for female travelers. Our main function is where you can get connected to other female travelers who are traveling all around the world. And now we are also partnering with local female entrepreneurs here in Busan, Jeju, Bali, soon to Morocco, France, Portugal, where we partner with these female travel organizations or travel agencies, and we create women-only travel programs together.
Wow. Right, so solo travel can be exciting, but for many women, safety is always a concern. So have you ever traveled alone?
You know, I haven't. That's like one big regret I have in life.
Yeah. And now it's, I don't know, now with a family, it's not as easy. Right?
I want to though.
Yeah.
Like leave the family behind. I joke about it all the time.
You know, for me, it was really interesting to meet the founder who launched Nomad Her. She says she launched it after traveling solo to over 60 countries. Wow. And after facing unsafe situations herself, she realized there needs to be a safe space just for women, right? So they are definitely named the most innovative startup by the UN World Tourism Organization.
Yes.
Even caught Google's attention. So they became the first Korean startup featured in Google Play's We Are Play campaign with a short documentary showcasing in its journey. And it was actually filmed here in Busan. She had the opportunity to choose anywhere in the world, and she chose Busan.
Ooh, that's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And I highly recommend it if you are traveling solo as a female traveler to check out the app Nomad Her.
Indeed. So, do we have anything else? Are we going to listen to another clip?
Right. So most of us, I think, we really like traveling. And for me, I would say traveling is about exploring. So let's take a quick listen.
Yes, we're actually not going to because there's a reason.
Short,
Not just that, but we have to say goodbye.
Of course.
But I want to thank you for just amazing segments that you pull from your own show to share with our listeners as well. We really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, and I definitely laughed too much here, and it was a joy. I love it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. And of course, you can check out Stephanie
at 11:05 a.m. Busan Worldwide.
All right, so here's to another great season. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And with that, it's already time to say goodbye. Daddy Cool by Boney M. See you tomorrow. Bye.
She's crazy like a fool. What about Daddy?